Greetings adventurer, and welcome to the Surly Nerd.
Greetings adventurers, and welcome to our Drinks at the End segment. It's an offshoot of our main program, The Surly Nerd, and the Drinks at the End segment is kind of a section where all of our hosts get together and they discuss a random topic that I've thought up for all of them. Before we get started, guys, introduce yourselves to the audience that can now see you for the very first time. Tony?
As he just said, I'm Tony. I produce and stuff this show. I don't
You
know.
stuff the show? What do you
I do
stuff it
stuff
with?
for the show.
What do you stuff it with?
Awesome, pure and adulterated, liquid.
Awkward.
I'm Jay, and boy, I'm a big fan of Tony's hat.
It is a fine hat.
Our current discussion for this week is Tony's hat. No, it's not Tony's hat. Our discussion for this week is about old video game franchises. Remakes have been a really big deal as of late. We've got the new DuckTales game or the remake of the DuckTales that's coming out.
DuckTales HD.
Yep. There's been a lot of HD remakes, some good, some bad. We've had the Silent Hill remake, which kind of bombed horribly. Zone of the Enders, which was apparently amazing.
Was that an HD remake or like an actual?
It was the HD remake. Yeah, of that. It was an upscaled PS2 game, but yeah, it was an HD remake of the original Zone of the
I believe
Enders.
Sonic, the Sonic 1, they were doing them in parts. They were doing the HD chapters of the Sonic games and redoing those.
So
I think. I don't remember.
Yeah, so
exactly.
we are in the era of kind of remakes and revitalizing old franchises. So, to my panel, which game franchises would you like to see either remade or revitalized? Like, which ones did you play when you were a kid that you never got that they don't make any more of? I mean, Jay, we'll start with you.
Okay, my first port of call, and I think I'm going to have some backup here, is Legacy of Kain.
See, I feel like that's a pretty iffy thing. So, are you talking remake or new addition to the series?
No, not a reboot or anything like that.
Okay.
Like an actual sequel.
Oh, you want a true sequel to Legacy of Kain?
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of totally agree with that.
I
I don't really want it rebooted, but I want more Legacy of Kain. That's not just the universe that it takes place in. I want Kain being there, being awesome and badass.
So there's pros and cons to that, of course. That the main ones being that the game did finish on a solid note. I mean, it had a definitive ending to it, right?
Just because something had a definitive ending doesn't mean you can't come back and just fuck it up again.
That's very true.
Generally, what most
Maybe
remakes or sequels
some sort
do.
of external threat rather than them fighting amongst themselves
Of course.
or with humans.
So first and foremost, the character Tony J played the Elder God in that series, and he is now passed. So the Elder God can't really be a main character unless you recast him, and a lot of people loved him in that role.
Just grab Benedict Cumberbatch.
Just stick him in. You just want to put him in everything, don't you?
I think Benedict Cumberbatch should be inside of everything.
Okay, then. We are only a couple minutes into the new video segment, and Tony's already made it awkward, guys. So,
Oh, fuck it. You do this then.
what am I doing?
Well, you were criticizing my pouring skills earlier. How am I supposed to do this?
All right, we'll continue talking about Legacy of Kain for a minute. What do
Okay.
you want to see in that while I pour your beer?
Maybe them fighting some sort of other monsters, some sort of other supernatural threat rather than just sort of vampire bitchy infighting.
Yeah. What kind of monsters would you say? I mean, like
Werewolves, Cthulhids.
evil fairies.
Yeah, sure, that'd be awesome.
Well, the game has already lent itself to the Elder God idea, right? So we've had the main Elder God who is unnamed. But if you really wanted to pull in some Lovecraft influence, you could do an entire thing where you actually use the Lovecraftian Elder Gods for,
Yeah, that'd be really awesome. Actually, that's a game idea in and of itself. You don't actually have to have it within the Legacy of Kain franchise. You could have they've tried multiple times to make Cthulhu-based video games, and none of them have really worked very well.
It's very difficult. There's games
Sanity, Requiem Sanity. What was it? Eternal Darkness?
Eternal Darkness, yeah.
That was a good one.
Yeah. And again, that was something that kind of took in the elements of the, Lovecraft mythos, but wasn't a Lovecraft game. But you could tell that there was definitely that pull there.
Okay, I kind of just thought of one finally. Have they remade Altered Beast?
No, they have not.
They did, and it was awful. It was
Did
on
they?
PS2, I think.
Did they just port the game over?
No, it was an actual 3D reboot.
I think you're thinking about Golden Axe.
No.
Because
They did that as well.
They did a Golden Axe on PS2, and it was a horrendous clusterfuck.
I actually got excited about the Altered Beast remake.
I never even heard
Okay,
of this
so
game.
my
fucking
one
dreadful.
idea that I've come up with so far is fucked.
Well, no,
Alright.
they just need to do it again and do it right.
Yeah. So would you like to see Altered Beast as just another 2D beat 'em up, or would you like to actually see like a full 3D?
I would like the 2/3D that we've got going on right now, like the new Ninja Turtles game that's about to come out here in a couple of days. Actually, right about when this is being released, we'll have the new Turtles game, and that's still kind of seems like it's the theme of side scrolling, but you have zones and there's 3D fighting in it. That's what I think would be kind of cool. When we were talking about this idea before the show, I said, what was the Jumpy Guy game?
That narrows it down a lot.
He's got the fucking whip. Adventure.
Castlevania?
No.
Oh, Pitfall.
Pitfall.
Oh.
But Pitfall's already...
Pitfall doesn't have a whip.
No, yeah, he does. He's got the fucking thing.
He has a vine that he hangs off.
Oh,
of.
it's a
Just saying
vine.
his
It's
name is Pitfall, the protagonist.
It's
Yes, he has a name, but I can't remember.
Pitfall Harry.
It's so... Really?
Yeah,
is
Pitfall
that his
Harry.
name?
Pitfall Harry.
Holy shit.
It's one of the unknown character names, because a lot of you don't know what the fuck that character... Older games, unless you read the actual book,
Yep.
you didn't know the names.
So he made a name for himself, avoiding pitfalls, to the extent where
He's Pitfall Harry.
Harry became synonymous with pitfalls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
But then
That
there's
is a
there's
niche
Uncharted
business.
now. But so we have Uncharted, which is the same fucking thing you would want to make out of Pitfall, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It has a better story, more places, things to jump over.
Okay.
So that one's scrapped since they made a good version of it already. We don't need to make a Pitfall.
You are terrible at this game.
Y'all know me. I don't do a lot of the gaming stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, what we said, Mutant League Baseball.
Mutant League Hockey and Mutant League Football were the two games that I played growing up.
Okay, then it's the robot baseball game that I can't remember.
You're
the
thinking
fucking
about
name
Base
of.
Wars.
Yes, Base Wars. Base
Base
Wars is
Wars.
the one that I want remade because it was ridiculous.
I
and fun.
loved that fucking game. It was amazing.
For a role playing game, the other one I can never remember.
Jade Cocoon?
Yes, Jade Cocoon. Fucking
Jade
Jade
Cocoon was
Cocoon
excellent.
needs to do like an HD awesome version.
So do you want an HD remake of Jade Cocoon, or do you want them to actually make a straight up new Jade Cocoon, darker and grittier than Jade Cocoon?
Just because I like everything dark and gritty doesn't mean I can't have a happy fantasy world every now and then. Honestly, an HD version, because the animation in it was so damn good that it's fine. Just give me better looking, polygons and not so incredibly laggy load times, and I'd be a lot happier with that.
That was a PS1 release, I believe.
Yes, that
And
was.
I mean, that's one of the things the PS1 did suffer from, was really
That's
shit
something
lag
any
times.
disc-based game has,
Yeah.
unless you, what we've done in the modern consoles, which is load half the game onto the hard drive and then
Right.
play it off of there while the other half is loading. Or have smaller worlds and things like that. I mean, there's a lot of ways that games have gotten faster, and that's the reason why cartridge.
But I think it comes down to programming, because if you look at Legacy of Kain, going back to that, the Legacy of Kain games had very little loading in them.
Yeah, they actually did, didn't
They were actually made to be streamlined, and that was one of their bigger selling points was, hey, we figured out a way to streamline the universe so that you can go from segment to segment and it not load on you. It was loading basically while you were walking.
It would have been insufferable if it
Oh, it would've been
all the
horrible.
backtracking and
Yeah,
room to
remember-
room puzzles.
Tony Hawk was one of the first ones that made it because you went from zone to zone to zone. It was the first one that had no load times. You literally skated through to the next area because once you got near that, it would load the next section, and you could just go right
And some
through it.
games have kind of had the illusion of that. Like things like Dishonored, you would go from level to level, but sometimes between those segments you have to go to like the alternate world, which is like a spiritual realm, and that's what you would travel through. And you're essentially playing a load scene. Like
Yeah,
you
it's-
get to run your character through a load scene. So
Yeah, and it was that's one of the things I did like about that. It just seemed a bit long in certain places where you're walking to one of the areas. You're like, "Fuck, I'm walking for a long damn time to load this other area."
that's very true. Okay, so back on topic, let's talk about some earlier games. Is there anything like pre-PlayStation era? Of course, we had Mutant League throwing out their Base Wars. Those are good choices.
Actually, while we're on games like that, Sega Soccer Slam on the GameCube.
I don't think I ever even
I have
remember
no
that.
idea what you're talking about.
It had, I think, like 8 teams from around the world that were sort of, they had superpowers, kind of.
Okay.
And they played
Interesting.
soccer.
Okay.
Did they have like one dude has rubber arms and he's the goalie and
Not to that extent. They had super soccer powers. Like they could fly up into the air and then kick the ball until it caught on fire.
Okay.
okay, so,
So
it's
it's
the
like-
NBA Jam of
Yeah.
soccer games.
Yeah, but with more colorful characters. There's like a luchador for the Mexican team called El Diablo, and
Okay, so an awesomer version of NBA Jam, but for soccer.
we had like sort of Shaolin monk characters for I think some like Tibetan team or
Okay.
Cool. I'm thinking this is pretty awesome, actually. That's a damn good choice.
yeah, it was actually very fun.
I was a big fan of the Dreamcast era, and I want to throw a couple of names out there. Power Stone
Fuck yes.
is one of them I would like to see, and Rival Schools, which is a PlayStation title, I actually believe. It was a Capcom fighter. It was the idea that you're all in a high school together and just beat the crap out of each other. But they were all very anime and iconic. Like everybody was in their uniforms, but they had very special powers.
God, that sounds familiar.
Yeah. One of my favorites. One of my all-time favorite games of all time was Dragon Force back on the Sega Saturn.
Would you say it's one of your all-time favorite games of all time?
Yes. Yes. In fact, I would be redundant and redundantly say things redundantly. Yes.
That means that game is that damn good.
That is that good.
What was the game called again? I already forgot.
Dragon Force.
Dragon Force.
There was a band named after that video game.
Oh, yeah. I thought that sounded really familiar.
Yeah.
Good
And
band.
yeah. And
They go diddly really fast.
they
They
did that.
sure do. I met them.
They don't make a lot of games like that anymore. It was a turn-based strategy war game, but unlike Final Fantasy Tactics, where you attack and the enemy attacks, things like that, you had hordes of monsters or units at your command, and it was kind of a rock paper scissors game. So if there was a soldier and archers, the archers would win out depending on elevation, things like that.
Okay.
But you actually didn't control the soldiers, so you take your 100 units, their 100 units, and you would tell your guys to attack, and they just kind of rush at each other. And the game's algorithm would figure out like who would win.
I
based
could see
on-
that being a really fun game to be redone with modern,
Yeah.
not only just aesthetics but design, how we can create games in world environments better.
Yeah.
Take not the Area 51 game, the one you like so much. The one I'm playing, the one you created me as a character. I cannot fucking remember the name of it.
What are you
The
talking about?
turn-based game. Oh fuck it! It doesn't matter.
XCOM.
Yeah, XCOM, because it's got the thing about the
Yeah.
environments for that and the AI,
Yeah.
because you can just tell your characters to fight against each other, right?
Yeah.
So you have the AIs actually take hundreds of characters and do that instead.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. There was another earlier game for that called War Song back on the Sega Genesis. It was called Langreaser over in Europe and in Japan, I believe. But it's essentially the same concept. It's the idea that, hundreds of characters run at each other, and, it's up to you to decide elevation and know how the units... It's more about knowing your units and how they act in combat than...
I am familiar with my unit.
Are you?
Yes.
Yes. Have you
I'm
play tested
intimate.
it? Have you play tested it extensively?
Yes, I have intimate playtesting knowledge of my units.
Excellent. Jay, do you have anything else you want to throw out there?
Oh, Streets of Rage.
So the beat 'em up genre is something that hasn't been that isn't as big of a deal these days as it used to be back in the 80s. Back in the it was an arcade thing. It was a quarter munching kind of situation, right? And then we got Streets of Rage. We had our golden axes, but we don't have as many of those nowadays. Now, of course, technology has changed. The concept of the quarter munching game doesn't exist anymore because arcades just don't. They're not
Arcades don't really exist except
Yeah.
for the
They have to be
ginormous
an
ones.
experience that you can't get at home, like the light gun games or.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that, and a game that should possibly get an HD version, the Aerosmith game.
Really, Revolution X.
That game is so ridiculously dumb and fun. It really is. I mean, think about it. You know how many quarters you wasted on that fucking game.
It's
It's
actually
fun.
No quarters.
Really?
Yeah, I was playing actual guitar.
Oh, okay. You were. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, let us
Jay
posers
was-
enjoy a fucking video
Jay
game.
was too good
Fuck
for
you and your
us.
guitar heroes and your
He's like-
Aerosmiths.
Aerosmith, you didn't even play guitar. You got a gun and you shot.
Yeah, it was a gun game with Aerosmith.
I might. Oh no! I got that confused. There was a PC game where you got a virtual plectrum.
No, this is where like, you had a gun and you shot CDs as missiles, and
Well, that
it
actually
was
sounds pretty awesome.
it was a
We can
dystopian
find one
future.
somewhere around
It was a
here.
dystopian future with dominatrix, and like you would just shoot the fuck out of them.
People paid to make this game.
Yeah, and
It's
it was
amazing,
all done in
and-
live action too. Like it actually had the Aerosmith band, like they would play music for you, like while you were
It
playing the
was
game.
glorious and
Yeah.
needs an HD version at
Okay,
home.
agreed. That does sound amazing. I completely, cheerfully retracted.
All right, guys. So we're getting pretty close to the end here. Is there any other games you can think of off the top of your head that just absolutely need to be remade, or a new version of them to come out?
UN Squadron. Oh no, Monster Rancher. How you get?
That was fun,
like. I mean, it would be great if anyone still used CDs anymore.
but you don't.
Yeah.
You
Put
just-
remember CDs inside your
yeah,
PlayStation.
and Metallica gave you the death box.
Yes, that was cool.
Yeah, I can't remember the character's name though.
I don't remember it.
I just remember it was a
very
coffin
long
and
time
bat
ago.
wings, and it was all like super powerful. It was like level 99 when you found it. Yeah, it was fun. That would be a fun game. It would be hard to do the CD/music import of
maybe
characters.
MP3s.
Yeah,
like
I've
you could read your MP3 collection.
Yeah, I had
because a lot
a
of games do that nowadays. There's I can't remember the name of it. It's a PC game, and the entire thing is it's a shooter game, like a space shooter, and every level is different because it takes one of your MP3s and generates the level based on that.
Okay, I don't know what this is, but it sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's an iPhone game
Yeah.
that reads your iPod catalog and turns them into monsters. For it's like an RPG.
So this is a logical thing that we could create. I mean, I think that somebody needs to get on top of this,
Seriously.
along with the Aerosmith game.
But more importantly, the Aerosmith game, guys. Everybody needs to just go out and play Revolution X right now.
That game was
just
bad.
drop everything that you're doing and fucking go play this horrible piece of shit game.
But it was so much fun.
All right, guys, I think that's everything that we have for Drinks at the End this week. We want to thank you guys for coming into our YouTube channel and checking us out.
You should like and subscribe to our channel, and also go listen to the regular show, which had some great information. It's weekly. You get all the nerdy news you could possibly handle.
Great information.
It did.
Some great opinions, at least.
Yeah, we are a weekly podcast. You can find us on the iTunes store.
Then you search the Surly Nerd inside of iTunes. Our website's thesurlynerd.com. Tweet us at the Surly Nerd. I'm gonna have put all this stuff in the bottom links area, so you can find it. Then Facebook, share us, like us, the Surly Nerd. Facebook.com/the Surly Nerd.
Tell your friends.
Basically anything you can Surly Nerd, we're gonna be the Surly Nerd. So
We are going to surly all the nerds.
well, we are the Surly Nerds.
Got it. We were on top of that. Until next time, guys. Good night and good game.
And fuck you, Michael Bay.